What's going on, everyone? Poem here at Late Night Gaming. I'm with my pals Loopee and Mcbober, and
What's up?
yep, and we're gonna be chatting here about the Shadows of the Galaxy spoilers that FFG was kind enough to share with the community here. So let's get underway. We're gonna hear from the boys on what they think about these cards. Our first card we're going to be talking about is Moff Gideon. He is a 5 cost command villainy leader, and he's got Imperial Official. He's a 3/6 with Overwhelm, and he's sort of opposite Jin, so he gives your guys a +1 attack and Overwhelm. Thoughts on Moff Gideon Loopy?
I think Moff Gideon is very strong. He fits with a weenie deck, right? But there's a lot of units that cost 3 or less, and Overwhelm is an extremely powerful keyword. It's a way to guarantee damage while you're taking care of other units. So I can see Moff Gideon get a lot of play, frankly.
Sweet. McBobber?
Yeah, I like Moff Gideon. I think deploying at 5 helps a lot. I think we've seen that's a pretty good point for laters to enter the play. And his restriction of having to attack units with his ability is kind of interesting. It's not quite as aggro focused as like IG-88 might be, which I think is a common comparison here. So their abilities are a little similar, but I really like the overwhelm that he gets when he's in his unit form. So I'm very I guess I'm very excited to try out some Moff Gideon decks and really dive into it and see how many like 3 cost guys I could cram in there and try to make it work.
Yeah, so like having your leader have overwhelm allows you to be like controlling their board while also pushing some damage to their base, which
Yep.
could be a pretty viable strategy there, like some kind of mid-rangey situation.
Yeah, it's like a different kind of control. You're not removing their guys with units. You're using your units to kill their guys and then trying to get bonuses for doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think it synergizes well with upgrades, which look to be a theme of this set. I know that decks that have K2 and upgrades, that can be impressive because he has Overwhelm,
Mhm.
right? Because you get a board clear. So, yeah, no, I'm very excited to uh, play Moff Gideon. I think he adds a lot to filling green.
Yeah, I like the 6. The 6 health is nice, kind of certain breakpoint there instead of 5. And then just like I'm used to just kind of playing Tarkin with like the 2 attack. I mean, he gives you 3. It's a little bit better there. Um, yeah, so we'll see. This seems like a McBobber card. He can maybe make something happen for us. Figure it out.
We'll see.
Alrighty. The next card here we've got is the man himself. This is the Mandalorian. He is sworn to the creed. He comes in at 6, and he's a 4/7 Mandalorian bounty hunter. And when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust an enemy unit with 6 or less remaining HP. Um, and that's in his unit form. He's a 4. He does it for 4 or less remaining HP in his leader form. Thoughts on the Mandalorian McBobber?
It's an interesting ability. I do like that it doesn't take an action. It just happens when you play an upgrade. And I think we've seen kind of like with the Boba Fett leader that that's pretty nice to not have to waste time using your leader ability. At the same time, I don't know how many upgrades are going to be viable as we get into the whole set here. So he's definitely very upgrade focused. I think we'll see as some of the later cards too. There's a theme here, and it makes sense for him too because he's kind of upgrading himself over the course of the series. So I guess we'll have to. I won't really know the full power of the Mandalorian until we get the card pool, I think, or at least a lot more of it.
So you're just giving us a little tease like that. You're not just gonna be like, this guy is gas, like the Mandalorian, man. This is the guy, right? Isn't he gonna be
I
like
don't know
super
enough
good?
yet.
Snapshot reflex or whatever, and like, is he just coming in too late at 6?
Well, I mean, part of my criticism with Yellow Hero in set 1 was that I thought the cards were kind of weak. So we just need better cards to really make me excited about a yellow hero leader.
Okay. All right. So we're in wait and see mode on the Mandalorian. However, my son, my 8-year-old son, is not in wait and see mode on the Mandalorian. He is pumped. He's pumped for this guy. He can't wait to get him on the table. He is disappointed though. He said we were driving today after school, and he was like, "Wait, Dad, Mandalorian, he's the starter card, so we won't get a showcase for him." I'm like, "That's a good observation, son." maybe they'll do it for maybe they'll do it for some kind of tournament, top 8 of some big tournament or something. They'll have like exclusive showcases for like the guys you can't get in the booster packs. So
Yeah,
Well,
they have the special Vader and the special Luke you got from the Learn to Plays in Gen Con.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. We'll probably get an alt art version of the Mandalorian and Moff Gideon in the pre-release. So in a way, it's going to be even easier to get those alternate versions of these characters than the showcases.
gotcha. Just won't be that ultra rare showcase. It'll be more of a tournament or a event promo. All right, moving on here. We've got some more cards to talk about, and the next one up is called Calculated Lethality. Lethality, if I can talk. I guess either one of those pronunciations would be correct. It's a 4-cost vigilance villainy event. It says defeat a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less. For each upgrade that was on the unit, give an experience token to a friendly unit. Um, yeah, I mean, in the set where they're giving us more upgrades, they give another upgrade hate card. And I saw some guy like on Facebook made a list of like all the cards that punish you for playing upgrades, and it's a pretty long it's a pretty long list, between bouncing and exhausting and just obliterating your upgrades and exhausting your guy, and like there's so many ways to deal with upgrades, and this is just another one. So it's just kind of laying it on thick, and it's kind of making me sad personally, because I would like to be able to throw upgrades on things and have it be viable, but yeah. So for me, this is just like another thing that just like makes me sad, but I don't really have any other takes about on this card. Just I'm sad. Loopy, are you sad about this one?
Ah, I think it's situational upgrade hate. So if there's a lot of small units with upgrades, people will think about running it. Um, given some of the abilities that are giving like multiple shields too. I mean, you got to keep in mind that shields and experience tokens are upgrades. So Tarkin doesn't like this. So maybe that's what makes you sad.
Yeah, I don't like this. Make it go away.
Gideon Hass doesn't like this.
Okay. Mcbober, what do you think about the calculated lethality, the cost, what it does? Do you think it's a powerful event that blue villain decks are going to include in their decks?
My first thought is no. I think it's very comparable to Takedown. They got the same cost, and they're kind of doing the same thing of just defeating a guy outright. Now, the requirement's a little different. This is anyone who costs 3 or less, whereas Takedown is just 5 or less health. But this does have the added thing of interacting with upgrades, which I really think is probably the only reason you might run this over Takedown. But we'd really have to be in an upgrade meta, I think, for this to make the cut. So I'm not sold on calculated lethality yet, but yeah, it just depends how hard the upgrades are getting pushed, I think.
If someone had as their strategy to try to play a cheap unit and put upgrades on it to try to like kill an aggro deck that doesn't run any upgrade hate, I mean, it's just again, it's just another card that just wrecks you. I mean, I don't know how many blue villain aggro decks there are, but I'm just yeah, I cannot believe they have so many upgrade hate cards already. I remember one of the first cards they even showed us was like Vanquish or whatever, and I'm like, here we are, like you can just kill a unit no matter what. Like just pay 5, kill the guy. Like immediately I knew the strategy I wanted to play in this game was going to be like very difficult to make happen. So it's just really tricky. It's almost like upgrades need to be almost sideboard cards that you bring in certain matchups when you know that they don't have they've shown you that they don't have an answer to that in their main board or something. Anyhow. Okay. Next card is the Razor Crest. It's a reliable gunship, 4 cost, Vigilance, Heroism, 3/4 Mandalorian Vehicle Transport with Restore 2. And when played, you may return an upgrade from your discard pile to your hand. Loopy, thoughts on the Razor Crest?
So the when played effect is something that's certainly needed to make upgrades viable. I mean, you need a way to recur them from discard. So I'm excited to see that. Beyond that, though, it's a 3/4 space, so it's a system patrol craft that doesn't have Sentinel but has Restore instead. So it's okay.
Mcbober?
I think I'm a little more high on this card. I actually think of all the cards we're going to look at here, this is probably my favorite. I really like essentially card draw, right? You get the card back from your discard pile, and the stats aren't too bad. 4 cost 3/4 is it's something we've seen a few of before, and this has the Restore too, so it's kind of comparable to the Star Viper, but yeah, it costs 1 more and you get 1 more health. I like getting the card back, so I like the Wizard Crest.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm a little. I see the power of it. I like the 4 health in space. Kind of difficult to kill. Can kind of 2-for-1 some of those weenies out there, the A-Wings and whatever. The Restore 2 seems relevant. The card draw is relevant. I think getting out of the discard pile could be a little tricky if you're trying to play this like on curve to like have that upgrade in that discard pile, unless there's maybe some other effect that is allowing you to like search the top 5 of your discard the top 3 of your deck to look for an upgrade or something kind of mechanic like that, to just like throw cards into that discard pile. I there's a very good chance that you will not have an upgrade in your discard pile on turn 3. You would have needed your turn 1 guy to play. You play your first guy, you put an upgrade on him, and then he's died since you've played this. It's a little funky for me, like on curve, to think that you're going to get that card draw reliably, and I think that could be a little tricky. But we'll wait and see on the Razor Crest. And again, my comment here with my son was he was asking where the other Mandalorian ship is. So I don't know what that one's. Don't remember what that one's called. That Naboo one.
Yeah, it's like a Naboo Starfighter. I don't know if it has a specific name, but
He's
it
hoping
may
we
or may
get.
not mean
He's
yet.
hoping we get that one too. So just
I
that's.
do think, to your point of not having enough upgrades to get back with the Razor Crest, we haven't looked at it yet, but one of the cards we're going to look at is a 0 cost upgrade, and I think there's going to be a lot of cheap upgrades in this set, I suspect, in the same vein as that one.
So you could like play a 0 on turn 2, defeat get a bounty or whatever, and then that upgrade goes in your discard pile and you pull that back. Okay, maybe something like that would make sense for the Mandalorian to try to get a bunch of bounties accomplished quickly. Alrighty. Next up, we've got the Mandalorian. Wherever I go, he goes. He's a 6 cost Vigilance Heroism unit with a 5/6 stat line, Mandalorian Bounty Hunter with Sentinel. And when played, you may heal all damage from a unit that costs 2 or less and give 2 shield tokens to it. Mcbobber, thoughts on the Mandalorian?
That's another 6-drop for blue. He's kind of filling that Obi-Wan slot. 6-drop Sentinel seems to be a pretty common thing in blue here. And he kind of fits right in line with the rest of those guys. Very similar to Obi-Wan, where he's doing something for somebody else. In this case, it's on play versus when he dies. And I think this is a pretty strong effect to give 2 shields to something. It does have to be a 2 or less cost card, so you gotta build around it. But I think there's some good potential here. I think 2 shields gives you a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, I mean it's tricky. I feel like shields just get blown out by bounce and whatever. So just like I don't know. It's hard for me, but it seems like yeah, this synergizes with the Grogu and all that, so it's very thematic and yeah, he hits for a fair amount, 5-6 instead of the 4-6 on OB, and yeah, you can probably see some play. Loopy, what do you think about this guy?
Yeah, solid unit. I mean, he's very similar to Obi-Wan Kenobi in use. I mean, a little stronger attack wise. So, um, it's not world breaking.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I would say he's kind of unexciting for a legendary. He seems like a pretty vanilla card, but I think he'll be solid. I could see if you put 2 shields on your Sabine unit, like even if they bounce it, it's only a 2-drop. They spent a card to deal with a 2-drop that comes
Yeah,
back.
and every deck has 2 drops because you need a first turn play.
Yep.
Yeah, they had to spend resources to try to bounce your 2-drop instead of some other bigger unit.
Yeah, instead of your actual 5-6 that the Mandalorian is.
Right, they're bouncing the 2-drop that you put the 2 shields on instead of the 5-6. Yeah.
That is the downside with Obi-Wan. If Obi-Wan gets bounced, you don't get anything. But this guy, you'll get something as long as you have that 2-drop.
Good point.
So do you think this card will like be a chase card? I mean, just because of the character and things like that, the legendary, people are going to want the Mandalorian card? Or is that mostly based around the power level of the card where what the value is determined to be?
I think being a popular character matters, but I think power level also matters. Like if you look at like Darth Vader or Boba Fett, like some of the bigger legendaries we have from set one, they do super powerful stuff, and they're very
Right.
obviously high impact as soon as they hit the table. Whereas this guy he's a little bit more mid. I think he seems fair. He's not doing anything insane like Vader does. So that's where I'm at there.
So 24.99. You know.
Buy one, get one half off. Buy one, get a free Grogu.
All right, next card, the Phase 3 Dark Trooper, 3 cost command villainy unit 3/3 stat line Imperial Droid Trooper. He's got Sentinel, and when combat damage is dealt to this unit, give an experience token to this unit if it survives the damage. I haven't really thought about this guy, so I don't really have too much of an opinion about him. So I'll defer to the experts in the room here. Loopy, what do you think about the Dark Trooper?
It's a cell block guard plus a situational ability. I mean, we'll see. The droid tag might do something to set, given that we have Afra. So, other than that, it's very much a cell block guard. It's hard to have it survive damage often, right? So, that's not going to come up all too much.
Gotta put some upgrades on it.
Hey,
Mcbober,
like it's
thoughts on
target.
the Dark Trooper?
I like the Dark Trooper. It's kind of like Loopy said. It's basically just a better sub block guard, right? If you're a green villain, which a lot of villains are these days, he's just gonna be better than sub block guard. I do think it's likely we'll get some kind of droid synergy, probably this set, but definitely the next set, if not this one. And other than that, it's good. Yeah, he
Separatist,
happens
yeah.
to trade into a smaller guy and he gets to live, then he just gets bigger and bigger. Tarkin could give him XP to help him survive those trades. This guy, it works even when he's attacking or defending, as long as he survives the combat. So
Yeah,
seems good.
ECL him to crush a Sabine. You end up with a 4-2. It's
There
not
you
bad.
go. Plus the band, get a 4-2 Sentinel.
Okay, seems good. Kill their K2SO, whatever. All right, our next card, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Grogu. Is it irresistible?
He is irresistible.
What is with that? He's a 2-cost cunning heroism 0/5 force user with an action exhaust an enemy unit. I mean, this guy clearly I think he will see some play. He's got a very relevant ability to exhaust any unit on the board. And exhaust a leader, whatever. He seems good to me. Um, I don't know what else to say about him. He seems like he's going to see play. 5 health, hard to kill him. You have to invest resources and everything. He's just doing this like super annoying thing to you every round. Someone mentioned that he was sort of like a no good to me dead, you know, kind of like you might get 2 exhausts out of him, but you could get more out of that, out of him than that. But there's also a downside that obviously he can get mitigated before that can occur. But yeah, I think he's pretty powerful. I would say I think he's gonna be used copiously. What do you think, Loopy?
No Grogo to me dead. Yeah, I don't know. He
Yeah,
he
there you go.
he doesn't have any attack, so that's a problem. Force trait's good. Ezra is also a yellow force unit in hero. I mean, we'll see.
We're gonna need
Depend.
that like hero yellow control type deck to occur. Maybe that's just not ready yet. Like
Yeah,
there's not enough.
it seems that they want blue yellow hero to be good, but so far not that hasn't really happened.
Okay, Mcbobber's gonna drop all the knowledge on us. We're just kind of waiting to hear what he has to say.
I would say it's not quite no good to be dead because you have to exhaust him to do the ability, so you can't do it the turn you play him. You got to wait around before he starts exhausting stuff. But other than that, I mean, he's pretty clearly upgrade bait. He's got great stats that you just want to throw a lightsaber or something on him. He's got the force trait. Put Jedi lightsaber on this guy, and he's a big problem. They'll have to bounce him or do something to handle this guy. So, yeah, he seems pretty good. I kind of mostly agree with your assessment there, Poem. I do want to point out the controversy of his hand. He's got 4 fingers, which is not not accurate, and a lot of people have made memes about that. So it's kind of funny.
He only has 3.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I saw someone like erase the finger or something. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think on the big Discord they've turned both his hand into like an emote you can use to react to things.
Alrighty. Well, again, I think my son's excited for this one, so cool story. Next card is
Everybody likes Grogu.
oh yeah, it's a cunning a upgrade. It's called Wanted. It's a 0 cost, and the attached unit gains bounty, ready to friendly resources. It gives you no additional stats. You put it on the opponent, you kill that opponent, and you get some resources back. Mcbobber, what do you think about Wanted?
I think Wanted looks pretty good. I could definitely see some good situations where you might want this. A lot of it is predicated on the whole bounty mechanic, which is a new keyword we have when you defeat or capture the unit, which is capturing its own thing. We'll probably talk about in a little bit. You get the bounty reward. I do think it's fun as a an old Destiny player that we had this exact card in Destiny. There was also a bounty you could put on people called Wanted, and it gave you 2 resources. So I think it's a fun little callback there. Uh, but yeah, I think this is it fits right in line with like Boba Fett's ability, right? It's basically Boba Fett's ability on an upgrade. And I could see some pretty sick plays you can do in a Boba Fett deck with this, right? To ready even more resources. You know, I trying to think of a line here. There's like you put the Wanted on a guy, you ECL in your super laser tech, you kill their guy, your super laser tech becomes a resource. You ready 3 resources. So now you got like 4 resources ready, and then you can resupply, and then you get your Boba Fett down on turn 2 of the game. He attacks, he gives you 2 resources ready, then you play your unit Boba Fett. Right, that's the dream. I don't know if it'll
You're
how
kind of
often you
making
can
me
pull that out.
sick.
Why'd you tell everyone that, man? We could have saved that one for Worlds 2025, man.
I mean, you have to have the perfect hand, and they have to have played a guy with like 2 health, like a probe droid or something for you to run into. But it's a fun thought. But we'll probably get more bounties. And we'll probably get guys who do stuff when you collect bounties. You know, a leader who does something every time you collect a bounty. We'll probably get stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to more bounties.
Yeah, it seems like a Mcbober card. These kind of other you know, traits or whatever. What are these? You know, what's bounty called? It's like a sort of like a keyword. McBarber likes these kind of interesting keywords. You know, lets him kind of get creative with the deck building and do some funky stuff like you just saw there. Just pulled that out of his hat. For me, my kind of assessment with this is like, yeah, resources are good, but like this is a card. You know, so you're losing card advantage in order to generate that money. So like you would need some kind of leader, like you mentioned, or something, some ability to where you don't lose the card advantage on this. Maybe like after you collect a bounty, it comes back into your hand, or like you draw a card or something like that. Maybe there'll be a leader like that, like collect a bounty, draw a card or something. I don't know if that'd be too good, but I'd like to see not being punished from a card advantage standpoint for playing these types of zero cost cards. I find that um, the zero cost in Hero, the Medal Ceremony, I mean, I play it when I can, but I have a hard time really being able to play that every single time I draw it, just from like, you know, needing to make sure I have cards available to play on curve with my deck. So zero cost cards can present a challenge. So hopefully they give us a leader or some other mechanic that helps mitigate that. I'm assuming there will be some bounties that draw you cards as well. That could be helpful.
Seems likely.
Okay. So next up we've got Gideon's Light Cruiser. It's an 8-cost villainy space unit. It's Dark Trooper Station. It's a 7/8 Imperial vehicle capital ship with Overwhelm, and when played, if you control Moff Gideon as a leader or unit, play a villainy unit that costs 3 or less from your hand or discard pile for free. So like a home one type situation. Thoughts on this one, Loopy?
Yeah, it's pretty good. If you're playing Gideon, so I imagine you'll play it in those decks. Overwhelm was good, so look at played him off Gideon decks.
Mcbower?
Yeah, it's basically Moff Gideon's home one. I think you probably only going to see this card ever played in a Moff Gideon deck, but it's not bad. I mean, it's still not like an absurd card, but it's pretty good to just basically have a home one as a villain. So yeah, I think you'll see this in Moff Gideon decks. Well, probably almost all the time. Probably every Moff Gideon deck will be running this card if I had to guess, unless they're really going hard into aggro.
Yeah, I like the Overwhelm. Um, I think it's kind of weird that it's villainy. I don't know. Like if you're only playing it in Moff Gideon, like then maybe I don't know. Command could have made sense there, but anyhow, yeah, looks like a home
That's a good
one. I
point.
think 8 is a little bit is playable. Um, it's not too far out there. It's not Devastator territory. Not that that's unplayable, but it's you know, you could see this thing hitting the table and doing something good for you. Maybe you pull like a Death Trooper or something that impacts the board, or some other Sentinel thing or something like that. So yeah, it'll be played in Moff Gideon decks, and it seems pretty reasonable and playable as a card. And next, and our last card today is the Mandalorian's Rifle. This is a 3-cost upgrade, and when attached to or you can attach it to a non-vehicle unit. And when played, if attached unit is the Mandalorian, he captures an exhausted enemy non-leader unit. Put the captured card face down under him until he leaves play. McBobber, what do you think about the Mandalorian's Rifle? It gives you a +3/+0, by the way. Sorry about that.
My first thought is that this is pretty weak. I'm not sold on capturing as a mechanic. Basically, how capturing works is you temporarily remove the card, he goes under your unit who captured him, and then when your unit dies, they get their captured guy back. So it's a pretty poor form of removal, I think. And I don't really think the stats to cost is very great on the Mandalorian's rifle either to give you more on top of the capture. That being said, I do think it's interesting that it only attaches to a friendly unit. I don't know if any other upgrades have had that restriction. They usually you can play them on enemies as well, but I guess they don't want you to play this on the opponent's Mandalorian and capture your own guy, or maybe it was just too complicated to figure out the rules of making the opponent capture people. But yeah, 3 attack is good, but no health. That's a little rough for a 3 cost upgrade. I'm not sold on this card.
So someone mentioned that in capture, when they get the unit back, that unit is exhausted. So does that change your calculus a little bit?
No, I don't think so.
Because yeah, they get it back and then it's exhausted for that round. So it's like seems like it's gonna kind of it's almost like a no good to me dead type situation. You're kind of like they're not getting to use their unit for a few rounds. The round you play this card, and then if they kill your guy that round, then they don't get to. Or if they kill I guess they wouldn't be able to kill your guy that round. But if they kill your guy the next round and recapture, then that's 2 rounds where they're not using their unit, and it can be any non-leader. And you're getting it's like a no good to me dead, but you're getting a +3 for a round or two. I mean, I don't know. It seems pretty good to me.
Well, you do have to play it on the Mandalorian to get that effect. Unlike No Good and Be Dead, where you just play it whenever. And this costs 3, and it only captures an exhausted guy. Which, granted,
Mm,
your ability lets you
oh,
exhaust a
that's
guy,
true.
but only of so much cost. I think it's
Yeah.
cost or remaining health. I forget which one it is. There's some restrictions here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so you can only get the exhausted unit, so you don't get. Yeah, maybe rule number one: read the card, and I just did. So
And it's
yeah,
only a non-leader as well, which
yeah.
No
So
Good
you're
and Be
only
Dead can hit
you
leaders.
might get like one less attack. It's more of like maybe an asteroid sanctuary type situation, or like a just a plus get, and then you're getting the plus attack. So yeah, I guess the jury's still out on this guy. We'll see. It is an upgrade, so you get some synergy with the Mandalorian on that. So
It does give you the bounty reward, unlike a bounce effect. So if these bounties are super good, that might encourage this, I guess.
cool. I feel like Mcbober's going to be able to figure this whole situation out and create something powerful. I'd be surprised if he couldn't make a pretty good Mandalorian deck, just based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I don't know how good it'll be, but I'm definitely going to try.
Alrighty, well we made it. Any last words from the boys?
Look forward to more spoilers.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, I think we had some hints too, some little teases about things to come. I
Mmm.
think Jeremy Zwern said that there's most expensive card in the game is going to be in this set, so we're getting something that costs more than 10, presumably based on that comment. Maybe the Executor, who knows? But I am excited to find out. I like big expensive cards. They're fun to think about.
Did we still want to talk about the art, or are we just going to kind of wrap things up?
Let's wrap it here.
All right, Loopy's orders. We had some plans to maybe talk about the art, but we kind of got a little overzealous and talked for a while. So, but we do appreciate you guys watching, and if you made it this far, you are my hero.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Later.